world's second largest army. We have the fourth strongest military, including Air Force and Navy.
The government is not there for producing public good. All you end up doing is padding the roles of the government, who then, it's like the Indian Army, Indian military. Our human, the bill for human, the human resources in the military far out, paces anything that we invest by way of the capital in military hardware. And so we have a real problem here, that we are not tackling the main issues. Get the government out of the business of business and get the government out of our lives.
China has started considering us as a kind of a competitor. We were nowhere on the scene. Yes, they are 4 times our size economy-wise. They are militarily strong, but they can't bring the whole military into the battlefield Tibet. So therefore, in Tibet, we match them 1-to-1. In fact, we can give them a nice hounding if required. But that is where India's strength lies, and India's respect is there, and therefore we can't be weak. I think, right, we should be strong militarily, and then our economy also grows, and both complement the comprehensive national power of India.
So the problem with a military superpower is, just like Dr. Karnad, I know several very, very smart young people who are producing things in India, developing things in India, which the West is still looking for. And the problem is that they get caught up in so much bureaucratic red tape.
Wow.
Their first contracts have come from America and Germany. They've moved out. They've literally moved out their production to America and Germany. Right?
Absolutely.
This is number one. But, it's not patches of intelligence that make a military industrial complex. It is an entirety of things. So, the weakness of the MSME sector means you can't even absorb things properly. We got the fallen NAT technology and made things. We then got the MiG-21 technology from Russia. We got the Sukhoi technology from Russia. We got Jaguar technology from France. Why couldn't we ever convert that into a domestic fighter properly? There is something fundamentally wrong. We're not asking ourselves the correct question.
India had produced a supersonic combat aircraft that first flew over the Bangalore skies in 1961. People don't realize it. It was the first combat aircraft ever developed, designed, produced outside of North America and Europe. And what happened? Thereafter, we have become, a combat aircraft and almost every military hardware importing country, and a lot of goodies to be passed around. That became the incentive for people in the military, in the procurement loop, in the Ministry of Defense, defense production, etc., to keep buying new things every half a generation. And this is why they killed off the indigenous industry. We are so risk averse, and we're simply not ruthless enough. It's not enough to say we have a big military or so. But what's the use that the military is being put to? Political uses. And when you say, well, defend every inch of territory, that completely destroys the whole notion of a military. Because Indian Army in 1947 was an expeditionary army. Indian Army was amongst the 5 armies of the world that had airborne divisions. We had 2 airborne divisions. Because we didn't think through, we demobilized them. Why? Because the army generals at the time said, the Royal Army, British Army had demobilized their airborne divisions, therefore we should do the same. The colonial mentality.
Indian military today is capable of defending our country against the threats that we have. I respect what Bharat has said, his views that we haven't spent that much of money. Look at the defense budget which we have been given in the past few years and before that also. Now you need to spend that kind of money to make your armed forces 21st century, if you're talking about even late 20th century. But considering what challenges that we face, I can assure our countrymen that we will be able to deliver the goods. China has learned a lesson recently. Bharat, please don't think that China can do much to us now. And even in the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean region, where we are now in a Quads combination, which is not yet fully clear up to what depth we will go with each other. But the fact is, China is worried. And China also realizes, they think in a century. Their century will finish in 2050, 49, actually, and they want to reach a certain level. If they get into a showdown with us, they will be retarded from their progress by 10 years. That is why they will not dare do anything, because they also understand India is not a pushover anymore. Despite the fact that we do not have that latest armory which we would like to have, but it's also the finance aspect.
44% of Indians are malnourished, 38% are stunted, and stunting lasts for 3 generations. It leads to severe cognitive deficits, which means even the $10,000 you spend on education isn't going to work, right? In energy, you waste $16 billion a year in stolen energy every year, which is enough to build 4 French nuclear reactors at sale price. Forget even bringing it, at cost price. Including, economies of scale and things like that. Otherwise, it'll cost you about a lot more. But anyway, so you can't even do that. Your water, you're sitting on a serious water crisis, which is going to affect us even more shortly. Law and order. To have economic growth, you need to have law and order. I don't even need to go into the judicial pendency. We have 19 judges. 19 judges per 1 million population. Germany and China, which have far fewer law and order problems, being a pre-industrial state, have 240 and 140 judges.
In the last 75 years, are for reforms, whether it was the economic reforms channeled during the 1990s, whether it is the continuing reforms that we continue to push despite political opposition and great political opposition, whether it's the reforms of GST, whether it is the reforms even on the social sector, not just economic sector. Today, we are talking about doubling or tripling our spending on social welfare. In the last 6 years, we've spent from 7 lakh crores to 17 lakh crores.
Cricket analogy. Remember, India started becoming a power in cricket only when the Indian television market expanded and we became the be-all and end-all of the cricket market. So, in that sense, it's a analogy for, get your economics in order. And then the power automatically follows. Before that, Britain and Australia were the only 2 countries to have a veto in this.
The test of India becoming a superpower cannot be just in terms of our military might. Maybe we won't have the maximum number of nuclear arsenal, tanks, or fighter jets. It will not be in terms of having the biggest economy in terms of GDP size, but it will definitely be in terms of the market that we can control with the size of our economy.
My worry is that the centrifugal forces which work within us are actually an obstacle, and quite a stubborn one at that, to being a country which has aspirations of global domination anywhere. So what do I mean by that? The kind of caste divisions, the kind of class divisions Abhijit referred to, despite crony capitalism, the kind of economic divides that exist in the country, these are huge. And I think Bharat said that no one is going to assume that you are entitled to it. But the fact is that as a people, and I'm not talking here of any one government or the other, as a people, we haven't ever been able to express ourselves saying, we want to be this. Various people have expressed it for us, leaders, so they may seem, but as a people, I don't see this as a force.
World power in this century, and I would predict it will take us 3-4 decades more to catch up with everybody else. Now, if you look back about 2-3 decades ago, before Deng Xiaoping brought in the opening of China, China was very, very far behind even other countries, like even behind us, I would say, technologically and otherwise. But by bonding with America, which was a strategic mistake of the Americans, to allow them to do that, they have managed to get what they needed, high technology and also knowledge from universities, from academia, and they followed the principle of rise in a peaceful manner and bide your time. And nobody noticed, but now we know it. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm optimistic, and I believe that India has all the potential requirements to be a world power. Political one-upmanship. I've been into politics also because as a governor, I saw the other side of the coin, and Bharat will agree with me that side is different from what we are used to. Then I took part in an election also, and I realized how dirty politics can be. Right, most countries have problems of politics being dirty, but whatever. I am trying to say that this political one-upmanship has been letting our country down again and again. I mean, if we won a victory in Kargil, some parties won't like it. If we won 71 war, some people had objections. Why national interest does not come first and foremost?